Hey, what is up, movie fans? I hope everything is going well in your world. We've got plenty of movies to watch, so let's get to it. I'm Movie Review Mom, and my job is to give you the inside scoop on movies so you can decide which movies are worth your time and money. Today, the movie I'm reviewing is called The Marksman. This movie is available this Friday in select theaters and video on demand. Yay, love that video on demand, especially during quarantine, right? This movie is PG-13. It's an hour and 47 minutes. And the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a B minus. And let me explain why. I'm going to give you an overview. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents and talk about some themes that are interesting and even share some recommendations for other movies that are sort of like this that I think you'll also like. All right, so in a nutshell, it is time for another boilerplate Liam Neeson movie. A lot of people expect one to come out in January, and guess what? It's January. This time in this movie, Liam Neeson kicks drug cartel butt after meeting some illegal aliens who need his protection from thugs on the Mexican border. This action flick is directed by Robert Lawrence, who also wrote the movie with Chris Charles and Danny Kravitz. Now, those names are known well in the industry for actually producing some really great movies. So I actually had pretty high expectations. This movie is a very straightforward Liam Neeson thriller. So if you enjoy him and his performances, as I do, then you'll probably get a kick out of this one as well. However, this isn't the best Liam Neeson movie we've ever seen. Still, I love him. This movie is also not to be confused with the Wesley Snipes movie called The Marksman. All right, let me give you some tips for parents. First of all, Spanish is spoken a lot. So there's a lot of reading of subtitles, and sometimes Spanish is spoken without subtitles. You don't really miss anything crucial to the story if you can't speak Spanish on those parts. You do hear some profanity in English and Spanish if you speak Spanish. You see a bloodied man hanging from his arms, and you see dead, bloodied animals on the ground. There's talk of death of loved ones. There's very high body count and murders of innocent bystanders, violence with guns, as well as hand to hand combat. And so while this movie is rated PG-13, I just wanted to have you aware of those types of content issues in case you decide it's really not best for your kids. So there are some themes that are worth talking about and certainly worth conversations if you do watch this with your kids. First of all, themes are family, compassion, choices and consequences, protecting children, illegal immigration. And there are two really good questions I think that the film asks. The first one is that the movie illustrates people who are willing to disregard the law and their values for money. So it'd be interesting to have a conversation with your family or your friends, whoever you watch the movie with, about whether or not you can be bought and for what price. And another question asked is it worth it to get involved? You know, we see Liam Neeson's character at the very beginning. He doesn't want to get involved. Some things happen, and now he's got some skin in the game, and yet he sacrifices a lot to help other people. And at the very end, the last farewell scene, we wonder, wow, should he have done all of that? Was it worth it? So it's a really good conversation. Now, there were lots of things that I liked about the movie. First of all, I really do get a kick out of Liam Neeson. I recognize his movies are never going to win big Oscars, unlike Schindler's List, which did win an Oscar many years ago. But these type of movies they're just kind of good fun. His character is tough, yet shows compassion when appropriate. And that pretty much describes every Liam Neeson character we've ever seen and that he's played, right? How can you not love him with his certain set of skills? And this is the type of character that he plays really well, kind of an old guy, hard on his luck, with a heart of gold and an exterior of steel. Yes, Liam Neeson is getting older and maybe a little too old to do some action scenes, but I still really get a kick out of his movies. In fact, his age is even mentioned a few times in the movie. Other cast members who did a really good job are Catherine Winnick, Juan Pablo Raba, and young Jacob Perez. Throw in an adorable, loyal dog as a sidekick to the crusty old protagonist, and you've got an endearing pair that is always a winning formula. There's a lovely score by Sean Callery, and he knows how to build tension and then back off when needed. And I really appreciate that. I really got a kick out of the TV show 24, and he scored that, as well as Star Trek Generations and even Bones. There's also some really beautiful cinematography by Mark Patton. So you learn a few little tips along the way during this road trip movie. Tip number one, don't use a credit card for your purchases when you don't want to be followed by a member of a scumbag drug cartel. Tip number two, switch cars when you're trying not to be followed by a member of a scumbag drug cartel. Why do characters make such dumb mistakes in movies? Now, of course, there were some things that I didn't like, which is why I gave the movie the score that I did. First of all, this movie feels like every other Liam Neeson movie we've ever seen. And unfortunately, it's mostly not going to be memorable. Liam Neeson's character's motivations flip flop on a dime in one scene. I was like, wait, what? Okay. And without further explanation, and I just thought that that was kind of odd. It was really painful to watch some of the characters burn piles of money over a campfire. And of course, I understand why they did what they did. I'm just saying. The movie is very predictable. As I mentioned, it just feels like we've seen this story before. And it really is more of a road trip movie than a real action film. There are some good action sequences, but it's very mild in comparison to Liam Neeson's younger years when he was able to do a lot more physical stunt work. The characters are very stereotypical and generic. The set pieces aren't that memorable. And the title actually makes you believe that there's going to be more shooting. There are a couple of subplots that are just sort of dropped completely. And many of the flaws and wounds that make the characters fairly interesting could have been explored more deeply in order to elevate the movie. All in all, I still got a kick out of it. I enjoyed it, but I recognize it's not the greatest movie ever made. Now, I always write down the funny lines or interesting lines as I'm watching movies, and I include them on my website at moviereviewmom.com. So go run over there, check those out if you want to read more about this movie. But I'll share some of them with you here right now. So, one of the lines that you hear Liam Neeson's character say a lot is, yeah, something like that. Whenever people ask him, oh, are you coming through town? Or, oh, are you going somewhere? Or, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? And to be vague, he doesn't want everybody to know his business. He's like, yeah, something like that. It just made me laugh all the time. And then there's another time where these drug cartel scumbag thugs are, telling him to get out of their way. And he says, I was in the Marine Corps, so I suggest you all turn around and adios. And then there was a poignant line where this young boy wants to kill these bad drug cartel guys. He says, someday I'm going to kill those men. And then Liam Neeson's character says, there's absolutely nothing that feels good about killing another man. So it's not like this bloodthirsty movie by any stretch. They are really, truly defending themselves, but there is a lot of shooting and blood and deaths. So there you have it. Now, before I go, let me give you some recommendations. If you haven't seen it, there's another Liam Neeson movie still in theaters. It just came out a couple of months ago. It's called The Honest thief. And if you like this movie, I think you're going to like that movie. It's another old crusty character of sorts who is trying to be honest and make some choices so that he can live with integrity and live with himself. Anyway, I highly recommend that. It's just another good, fun Liam Neeson movie. Another movie that is similar in the sense that it's an old crusty character accompanying a young child in order to protect that child is a Tom Hanks movie that has really flown under the radar called News of the World. It's in theaters now and soon will be on video demand. And then another movie that is similar of an old crusty guy protecting a young one is Rambo Last Blood. But let me give you fair warning. That movie is rated R and extremely violent and bloody and brutal. So this movie with Liam Neeson is a PG-13 version of that type of a movie. But if you're ready to go deeper and, really get your bloodlust on, then go for Rambo Last Blood. All right, that is it for my movie review. I hope that if you see this movie, you enjoy it. Thank you all so much for subscribing. That really helps me to build my little channel. And also a big thanks to those of you who are going over to Patreon to support me there. There are lots of gifts at different tier levels. So be sure and check that out if you haven't seen that yet. All right, that is it for today. I will catch you in the next movie review. Bye for now.